Well, good morning, everybody. Beautiful Northern Illinois weather here. So, today's discussion, do EVs lack soul? Yes. Okay, video done. You know, it's funny. At first, I heard a couple people make that statement that EVs lack soul and, they lack a rumbling engine, whatever. And I dismissed it. And part of that, though, has to do with the fact that I've been working with my high-end electric bikes for a while. And those bikes do indeed have some character. They have some soul. And so I got to thinking and wondering what is it that, how can we define soul? And so I thought about it, and there's a few ways to look at this. One thing that I thought about was one company that recognizes this issue is a company that is known, a motor vehicle company that is known primarily for having soul, and that is Harley Davidson. Now, for those of you that are unfamiliar with their project Livewire, it is an electric motorcycle. It started as a prototype pilot program a few years ago where they were researching the feasibility of marketing an electric motorcycle to the masses. And so they built a handful of prototypes and traveled around the country with them, and Jay Leno's Garage did a bit on it. Everybody, it seems like that's anybody in the motor vehicle realm reviewed it. And one of the things Harley said is that their motorcycles are known for having soul, and they said that was a specific feel, that means not just the way it drives or the road feel through the bars and the seat, but the engine feel. You can feel the engine moving underneath you, the sound. That adds character and soul to their motorcycles. So I thought about it, and it's interesting. Going back, before I started doing electric bicycles, I was involved in high-end electric helicopters, both complete helicopter manufacturing as well as upgrade parts for existing model helicopters on the market. And one of the products that I manufactured was a belt drive conversion to eliminate the gear drive on electric helicopters. So normally the motor would have a small pinion gear running a larger ring gear to spin the shaft for the main rotor. And so that gear was kind of noisy and whatever. So, and there were efficiency issues with it. So I went to a toothed belt drive, and I wasn't the only one to do it, but it was one of my claims to fame in the RC helicopter industry. So that toothed belt drive was a lot quieter, and the noise it did make was quieter than the gear drive, straight cut gears. And the noise that it did make was a much more soothing, rhythmic, whirring sound rather than a high-pitched whine that the gears would make. So when I started making high-end electric bicycle drive systems, I transferred that understanding of drive units to those, and I transferred what I knew from the model helicopter industry into the electric bike realm, and that is that I started using toothed belts to go from the motor to the primary jack shaft with the same effect. It instead of having a high-pitched squeal or whine like a planetary gear or any other gear setup would have, it's got a smoother, more mellow tone to it rather than that whine. So my drive systems were tuned to have a specific sound, and also some of the higher performance motors are fan cooled, and the fan is a fan blade that affixes to the rear of the motor shaft and draws air through the motor can, through the windings to cool the interior of the motor. And that fan blade, I make my own machined aluminum fan blades, and they have a specific pitch, a specific resonant frequency to them. So when the motor's running, there's a pleasant sound coming from the fan. When the again with the toothed belt, there's a specific sound coming from that belt, and that adds character or soul to the experience. So now let's apply that to electric cars. If you're purely looking for transportation, for instance, my daughter has a smart electric car, smart electric drive as they call it. She loves that thing, and she said, "It's great, Dad. There's no engine sound, there's no vibration. You can hear a little bit of motor whine, but," she said, "basically it's silent and smooth." She loves it. Well, she's just looking for transportation. My son-in-law, on the other hand, he's more about the character, and he can appreciate a rumbling engine. And the favorite car that he's ever had was a Chrysler 300, and he said he loved it. He loved the growling engine and that. He loves borrowing my little Civic Si because it's stick shift. There's some involvement there. You can hear the engine, you can feel the vibration, you can hear the turbocharger whistle and the wastegate blow off. You can hear the gears and the transmission, a little bit of whine there, and it adds to the overall experience. So I will say that electric motors tend to sanitize the experience. I mean, you've got a few senses involved when you're operating a vehicle. You've got sight, you're seeing what's happening. You've got the sound of what you hear around you, and you've got the physical sensation of feeling the road coming through the seat, through the steering wheel, and all that. So with an engine, you've got the sound of the engine and the feel of the engine coming through the chassis. So the engine tickles two different senses, at least. Some people even like the scent of exhaust when it's idling and all that, so that's another sense. But at least sound and sensation. And in an EV, you have tire noise, but that tends to be more of an annoying drone than anything else. You have some wind noise, but when you floor it, you hear a little bit of whine. But other than that, the audible aspect of the driving experience is almost eliminated, and the physical sensation is diminished. Now, I'll say traveling from state to state, it's nice on the expressway not having the drone of an engine as you're driving, and it's just, that it does get kind of old. But around town, accelerating and braking, I like the sound of an engine. So with an EV, again, on the highway, it's really nice how smooth and quiet it is. And an EV brings a lot to the table. You lose a little bit when you start driving an EV, and you gain a lot. So my answer to this question is, do EVs lack soul? I'm probably going to get a lot of hate. I'm going to get a lot of people upset with me about this, but I'm going to say the answer is yes. However, they bring more to the table than you lose. Also, not everybody's looking for that specific soul. And I'm curious to see what the Roadster brings. Some of the videos of people getting rides in the Roadsters, you can hear the tires fighting for traction. You can hear there's 3 motors and 15 or 1600 horsepower fighting. You can hear a whine, a strain of the drive system and the tires gripping. And I think that car is going to have a lot of soul to it. Oh goodness, even BMW with their i8 has a little 3-cylinder engine in the back, and they manufacture sound and pipe it through the sound system to give you more engine growl. And that's another subject, but the fact of the matter is, I actually dislike that. I dislike the fact that they make an artificial engine noise, but people that have driven them have said that it does at least add to the driving experience. So BMW recognizes that there is a certain aural or sound aspect to the driving experience that tends to be lacking with electrification. Harley-Davidson recognizes it. I definitely see it. I've experienced it in manufacturing my own drive systems. If you guys watch the video of my 4x4 skateboard, you can hear the motors whine, you can hear the drive belts make a whistle sound, and it actually adds to the experience. I'm very glad that board isn't dead silent. I could make my electric bikes essentially silent, but I've chosen not to do so. There's just an innate, enjoyment that's present in being able to hear power. So anyway, that's my opinion. It's worth every dime you guys paid for it. So go ahead and give me a thumbs up. And thanks a lot, guys, for tuning in. I know it's been a few days since I've uploaded any videos. And for those of you that have asked about supporting the channel, I do now have a Patreon account, so there'll be a link in the description below. I'm not begging for anything. I'm not in need, but I've had several people ask if there's a way to support the channel. So if you have any inkling, you can do that. But anyway, thanks, guys. I hope weather's better by you. Have yourselves a wonderful day. Bye-bye now.